We are Paul and Rebecca and we explore abandoned railways, canals and old infrastructure. This week we're exploring an abandoned railway tunnel in South Wales. We travel a lot to make our films, and for me that always feels like quite a privilege. We are lucky enough to have a platform and an audience to listen to our stories, and perhaps more importantly we're lucky enough to have an audience to listen to the stories that we tell from the past. The stories that aren't ours, but perhaps in us telling them will in some way mean that they're remembered for that little bit longer. And I guess that really does feel like a privilege. Because of the way my head works, I'm forever thinking about the next project that we're doing, the next bit of research, the next location, the next film, the next story that we want to share with you. Often we don't savour a place that we visit to the point that I have probably forgotten how to savour. And the trouble is with savouring, it takes time, and this really isn't what YouTube nourishes. You see, we edit the life out of our videos. We try and ensure that your eye is kept moving and not a moment to pause, not a moment too much talking to the camera. You name it, every second of today's attention grabbing information age is considered. And then we publish and we move on to the next project as if the last was just a passing thought. Today though is different. Today is the one place that draws us back, the one place that feels a little bit like home. It feels a little bit like we need to come back here. It draws us in. The history, the heritage, the things yet to be discovered here, the mountain, the roots, the people, the lives and the strive of those people. This is the Garnddyrys Forge and Tunnel. Hi everybody, welcome to a little video from the side of the Blorenge Mountain in South Wales.
Been here before?
We've been here a few times before. We love this place. One of the things that concerns us the most when we make these videos and we visit these wonderful old relics is who looks after them. Now, that's kind of obvious in the more modern railway sense when you're looking at things like the Brunel era and the early railways, railway mania, the middle of the 1800s. But what about before that? So behind us right there, that is a wall of a tunnel. Now that tunnel was built around 1810 and it's not looked after specifically by anybody. Cadw here in Wales do a great job of looking after their monuments, but that's not on their list. It's privately owned, it's open access land so you can come here, but who looks after it? Now we've been here before this tunnel twice, and we've noted that it is in a bad state. So what we want to do is try and document it this time, try and have a good look inside it, up and down it, see how far we can get and what state it's in, just to try and make a note and maybe pass it on to Cadw. For the meantime, let's go and have a look inside the Garnddyrys Forge Tunnel. So yeah, we have been here before. This is the forge that operated in the early 1800s, probably built around 200 years ago, and I'm not going to go into history too much now because I've done so already. So I'll add in a description below the prior two videos and their link. Well, the goal of today is to see how much is sort of navigable, how many collapses there's been over the years, and just see if we can sort of have a look at it and document it, because I kind of feel that's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe draw a map afterwards and everything.
Yeah.
So we say, right, here's a collapse, here's what we think it was.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Do that.
Upwards.
Okay.
So whilst I'm clambering in the side entrance here, let's bring up the map as we start to go in and see if we can look at the layout of the tunnel. This is Google Maps with the traditional north view. Now this is roughly where we recall the tunnel position to be and roughly concurs with some old maps, possibly with a curve here on the southern side. Now our side entry point is marked here with a big red arrow. So let's flip this into the more pleasing 3D view. This is us now facing south, looking towards the mountain. Looking southeast, you can see the line cut by the Hills Tramroad across the side of the Blorenge here before it headed into where we are now at the Garnddyrys Forge. It then carried on going around the valley, through the Faldw Tunnel into Blorenge. So let's pop our blue shape back on the map and let's get inside and see what we can find. Right, here's really interesting, because I always used to think this part was a collapse, and it probably is, but I'm not convinced, because that is there is as clean as you like, as in very, very, and the other side there you can see another section. So if I look up here and through there, you can see another section. That is as crisp and clear and cut as you like. So this, although it looks like a collapse, I'm not convinced it is. There's a lot of masonry there, but right there is like a separate section. You quite happily get in and out of there alone. So we suggested that bit down there, I might go and have a look at that from above, because there's clearly two more bits there that would be quite easy to get to. So we'll do that from above in a moment, but let's carry on going back the way we came. Behind us, see how far this goes this way. Careful getting down off these rocks. Bits of old rubbish in it. But that there is good. So back the way we came, back to that middle bit on the left, you can see. You can see a long way down there as well. Heck of a long way. Obviously what's in front of us there is clearly a collapse. I say it's clearly a collapse, not convinced again. Look at that, it goes a heck of a long way. That's a bit ropey there. I'm walking. But that's a bit ropey. The block hanging down. And also, interestingly, just there, you've got a side entrance. You see that? That is daylight and a collapse. Big spider. And a long way down there. Hooks all the way down the left. I have a funny feeling this was purpose designed. A long way down there, but I've got a funny feeling this here, that was purpose designed. You can see it's purpose designed. Let's get a couple of pictures of that. You can see light again. Right, good news is you can see light down here, which means that there is good airflow, potentially. Another designed little hole up there, look. So that there is a collapsing end. Now I think that is the portal. So if we can find that from above, we're laughing, because that is exactly what we want to know. We'll find that from above and see if that is the collapse. Right, so back out the way we came, up over the top to either portal to see if we can see the extension to the west, and if we can see the portal to the east. So here we are on the tunnel, and you can see it going out that way, slightly curving to the left, and behind the camera to the east, off it goes that way. Now, I was here, and I went about 40 yards this way, and you can see what I thought first of all was the collapse. Let's go and have a look at that. You need to be careful. So, looking at that now, there, that is crystal cut, nicely cut. There's nothing else there. That's perfectly. So I wonder if that was the portal, main tunnel, and this side here Again, it looks very well cut and clean. I think that's another 50 yards of tunnel which is separate. Why there's a lot of masonry in the middle, I don't really know. Literally, I reckon 50 yards straight line clear portal, which we've never found, which is ridiculous. So let's go and have a look. Right, shall I go in?
Up to you.
Right, there's no thistles or anything here.
That's always a good
So
start.
I'm going to take a look. I know there's another exit because there's an exit at that end. So that there is just where I've come in, and that's the western portal, the likely western portal of the Garnddyrys Tunnel. Flick it round and faced east, and we're now back in the first section, the western end of the Garnddyrys Tunnel. And this is the section I haven't been in before. Again, looks in great nick, looks really good. I'm loath to think that is a collapse because the portals here ahead of us are very well kept. Yeah, and there we go. There's the opposing view from what we saw earlier. Although that there has shifted. That's interesting. Maybe not recently. That has shifted at some point. I'm saying at least 50 years ago because of all the calcite that's growing over the top of it. But there is that line there I'm looking at. Anyway, maybe that shifted when they piled all this rubble in, because I can't see that is part of the collapse, if it was a collapse. But there we go. Right, let's go back out and try and find the eastern portal of the tunnel, full stop. So I don't know if by this point in the video I've drawn a map of where I think the tunnel is. I hope I do, because that would be quite funky. But we're walking now again eastwards along the top of the tunnel. We're slightly off centre because we don't want to put any more pressure on it. Yeah, I entered the tunnel here. There is your little collapse, which wasn't far in. So there it is. Now that there, you wouldn't be able to get out of that because that is about 7 feet deep drop down in. So we're going to carry on walking now, because this part of the tunnel I could walk
Solid as you like.
solid, fairly solid as you like. There's a couple of bits of earth and stuff, and then as I carried on going this way, you could see it in the distance turning left, right?
Okay.
You can see it turn left, and you can see the stone wall ahead of us looking left, right?
Yep. Turning.
So we've just found this, which it looks like another collapse and may not even be the end of the. This could be what I saw in the tunnel and assumed was the end, but maybe it's not the end. Maybe it carried on going further that way. Right, so that, you can see masonry down there, so that must be the light I saw. I assume that was the eastern portal facing out this way, because you can see it. I wouldn't want to go down there on account that there's only about ½ a foot gap between the soil and the masonry, and lots of sticking out too. Now I think it carries on here because there's a load of masonry there. There's no chance of you getting in there because I can't even see a hole in there, but there is masonry, so that makes me think it does carry on even further, or did carry on even further, but no chance of getting there. So this end of the tunnel is obviously in a much worse state. Let's just go down there and see if we see any more evidence before we crack on. So let's zoom in to the eastern end of the tunnel and try and understand it a little better. This red arrow is the hole that we were just at, where we found masonry either side, although we couldn't really show it well on camera owing to the vegetation. So we walked a little further east to attempt to map the portal. It was rather tricky, and we did notice this section here looked like it had collapsed. There was a clear slope to the edge of the ridge we were stood on just there. So as we head further east, you'll notice this bit of the land on top of the tunnel seems to slope downwards. Could this be the end? Could this be where the portal is? And then finally, you may also notice this, where the red arrow is, to be a walling. Perhaps this was for the actual base of the tramroad itself. So maybe the portal is there between the orange arrow and the red arrow. And of course, if we flip back to the original map that we used to try and map the tunnel, we believe this is now what it looks like with all of the key features. Well, I hope we can map this a bit better now, and I hope we can look again in the future, maybe in a year's time, come back again for the 4th time, and make another little video about the Garnddyrys Tunnel. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little jaunt. We love this place. If someone would really sort of take ownership of it, it's a World Heritage Site, isn't it? This mountainscape. So hopefully they will. Right, we'll be back next week, and we'll see you probably next Sunday.